Did you guys ever have to do a flat Stanley project, or was that just me? For those who don't know, Flat Stanley was a series of kids' books about a kid who got squashed flat. And then somehow it evolved over time to become an international initiative that encouraged kids to send their own flat Stanley to a friend or family member or another student, where that person would then take pictures and write journal entries about what they and Stanley did before sending it back to the student. But after writing the script and sharing that with my wife, she was like,
I've never heard of this before.
And so now I'm worried that I'm gonna look like a crazy person, so validate me in the comments, please. And to be fair, it was a pretty fun project when you look back at it. Flat Stanley was, I guess, a lot of fun. But you know what isn't fun? Trying to write a book and finding out that your story is full of flat Stanleys. Flat Stanleys within your story are characters that lack depth. See what I did there? These are the characters that suffer from a lack of planning, a lack of journey, a lack of understanding. And it makes your book feel wrong or like something is like missing, you know? What's worse than that is if you have some flat Stanleys in your book adjacent to characters that you've really brought to life, then it makes those Stanleys feel very visible to the reader. Luckily, there are a few different ways that you can turn those flat Stanleys into thick Stanleys. Jesus. These tips all come from research online, writing books that I've encountered, and some suggestions from viewers like you. A couple months ago, friend of the channel Nicholas reached out to me through the Writing Theory website with a method that he used to give his characters dimension. And you know what? He's got something pretty good. How do you take a character from an idea into something that feels realistic and full of life? Do you base your characters off of anyone or anything? Have you found a book or a video that just really made sense to you about this? How do you make your characters feel right? Let me know below. Stick around to the end to see what my biggest character mistake used to be. Also, new announcement. Come with me. Hi. So for years now, I've been looking for a writing community, some place where I can go and talk to like-minded people, share book recommendations and movie recommendations, and kind of nerd out just about narrative and story stuff. And I've never really found a good place for that. So I decided, finally, after the growth of this YouTube channel, why not start one? So in the description below, you'll find a link to the new Writing Theory Community Discord server. And that's ideally going to be the home for where you can come and talk about storytelling, about writing, share the progress of you writing your own novel, or maybe even find someone to write with. And ideally, this is something that can grow as this YouTube channel grows. But I want to create a space for you to come and ask questions, for you to come share your thoughts and provide feedback when I'm looking for advice, or when you're looking for advice, a place where we can sort of support each other and write. And in this Discord server, I want to give you an excuse to write. So this is the place where we will at least announce all of these writing jams, writing sprints, and writing contests that we may do in the future. And so if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, why don't you come down and join us? One of the coolest parts about following a smaller YouTube channel like this is that the community is still so small. And so if you come to the Discord server, you'll be heard. And I think that's pretty cool. So check it out. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll get back to the video. I need to think of a cool transition. The Polaroid Method. Let's start with a really important lesson that I had to learn when it came to writing my characters. And I promise, this is game-changing. Characters in your first draft will usually suck. Yes, even the greats write first drafts that need a lot of editing and rewriting. And one thing developed over those edits are the characters. And hear me out, because for some reason, I always thought that great authors just knew how to pull these wild characters out of their heads. And it wasn't until I read the writing book Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott you can sort of see a SparkNotes breakdown of this book in this video, that I learned that characters are evolved over the course of multiple edits. And specifically, she says this: we start out with stock characters, and our unconscious provides us with real flesh and blood, believable people. And it takes time to get to know your characters. She likens it to a Polaroid picture. As you start writing a character, it's a fuzzy depiction of someone that you can barely see. And the more time you spend with that character, the more time you spend writing, the more time that Polaroid develops. And then you can more clearly see that image. And I didn't really internalize this until I got to my third draft of my upcoming novella, Starlight Farm's Kennel for Talking Dogs. My proto draft in this story was just me getting the forms of these characters down and the role that they play in the story. But then I spent 30 or 40 hours with those characters, and I came to understand them in a much deeper way. And then in my next draft, I rewrote the beginning of the story with the better vision of these characters in mind. The change in writing those characters was subtle, but significant. The voice that each character had in the beginning of the proto draft was weak and brittle, and I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was coming from those characters that I now knew. I rewrote that part of the story, and those characters immediately felt more complete. And by the way, that proto draft video is one of the most important videos that I've made. If you haven't seen it, then I highly suggest that you watch it. It's something that has completely changed the way that I write. There's a link in the description below, and hey, while you're down there, subscribe for more writing content like this. We would love to have you join our little writing group here on YouTube. So yeah, Anne Lamott was right, and she usually is when it comes to writing. Luckily, she also gives us tips in this book for how to start off your character with as much dimension as you can muster. She recommends that you take inspiration for your characters from people that you know in your real life. You can take qualities of different people that you know and people that you've just passed on the street, and you can build someone new. Like Mr. Potato Head, and wait, that would make a good video. Character sheets. You know, with how common it's become to approach creating a plot with some framework, some established starting point, I'm kind of shocked that there is so little in regards to creating characters. And I mean, surely there have been efforts. I mean, Scrivener, my writing tool of choice, provides you with a character sheet when you're defining your characters, and it's basic enough. It asks for details like occupation, personality, goals, habits, background, and maybe that works for you. And you can find others online, like here, with the character sheet that Shannon Fallon uses. It's similar. It's asking you to provide lots of background information about your character, and these are all over the place with varying levels of detail. J.T. Ellison starts with a physical description and a level of education, and then attempts to break down that character and how they should fit in the story. The best character sheet that I've seen, in my opinion, comes from fellow YouTuber Local Script Man, who I know a lot of you watch. He has a great video on character sheets, and specifically the sheet that he put together. And I think that this sheet is a good balance of detail. It's not too much, not too little, but he also provides additional character sheets to use that lets you explore more detail in your character sheets if you want that. And in my opinion, these sheets and his explanations for how to use those sheets are the best that I've encountered. But maybe character sheets aren't you know? You don't like the approach of building characters with a sheet. Well, first of all, you don't have to build a character with a sheet like this. You can refine characters through these approaches. Combine the lesson that we just went over with how first draft characters kind of suck, and then take those less defined characters from your first draft and explore them with these character sheets. Expand on them and understand them. Well, okay, now I hear what you're saying. These sheets can be a tool for refining characters, but I still don't know what the first step is. Archetypes. Now, everyone's process will be different, but I start by looking at what characters are needed in the story and then build off of an archetype of character. Here's what I mean. Take a look at this big old list of character archetypes. My philosophy is that characters are meant to serve the story. And if I'm putting together a classic fantasy novel with a prince going on a big quest for the Holy Grail, then I need a few specific characters in that story. I need the noble prince that we're rooting for. I need the harsh or authoritarian father figure and king that pushes our prince out the door. I likely need a more understanding and approachable parent or parent figure in the queen or a family friend. And I need friends and enemies that play different roles around this character. When I start like this, figuring out what roles characters need to play, then I can start casting them like a movie. While I know what role that character should play, the fun part is figuring out what makes them unique. What do they look like? This is my chance to create characters of different cultures and backgrounds. What do they believe or love or fear? This is my chance to align this character with the theme or direction of the story. What are their quirks? This is my chance to make that character memorable. In my last video, a breakdown of the story grid by Sean Coyne, he brought up this really interesting idea that stories in specific genres have obligatory scenes. Murder mysteries start with a body being found and conclude with the confrontation of the killer. Romance novels start with a meet cute and end with a happily ever after. This approach to archetypes allows you to expand this with your characters as well. Some character archetypes are obligatory within genre. You can use these archetypes as a guiding principle in creating characters for your story. A murder mystery has a determined detective, someone seeking justice. A romance has a quirky lead. This approach gives you a place to start and expand on. Another approach that you can take is to identify the archetypes in your genre and then purposely subvert them. Go the other direction. That noble prince on the quest, make them cowardly and working to overcome their fear, or make them roguish and sly instead of noble. Make them always be looking for a shortcut in life. Subverting these trope expectations is a great way of creating novel ideas, boom, still got it, and iterating on something that already works. A tip from Nicholas. Nicholas, our friend who reached out through the website, had a suggestion for helping understand his characters. You see, the most basic approach to trying to understand your characters is to take time to ask them questions. And you'll find this tip in writing books all over the world. Nicholas went to a personality quiz website and answered the questions as if he was this character. And he went through the quiz, and the benefits were really twofold. First, simply the act of considering these personality questions through the eyes of your character, you're forced to think about them in realistic ways. In your story planning, you may never care to ask if this character would find numbers and data more important than emotions. You may never ask if this character would take the time to tidy their room or workspace. And you may never wonder if that character would complete a project before a deadline or wait until the last minute. But by going through these questions that you normally wouldn't ask, your character becomes more clear. That character wouldn't tidy up their room or workspace. Well, how does that affect their appearance? They likely wouldn't take the time to groom themselves really nicely when going out. That character that connects more to numbers than emotions, well, they likely wouldn't respond to emotional trauma the same way as others. Now, some people might consider this and think, why would I care? That's not really important to the story that this character is in. But I beg to differ. The important part here isn't knowing whether your character would be messy or tidy, but instead it helps guide your decisions based on the outcomes of this personality test. Just like Sean Coyne suggests using genre and reader expectation to guide your story, more on that here, this personality test can help you direct that character to act a certain way when you, the author, aren't sure how to move forward. Maybe even more important, this personality outcome, whether it's something like an INTJ style personality or like an Enneagram number, it's a way to judge the actions of your characters against something. What you really want to avoid is writing your character in a way that clearly defies this personality that you've uncovered, because that would go against who this character is. It's a guiding metric to keep you and your characters consistent. My biggest mistake. My biggest mistake when it came to writing characters early in my writing career was that I based so many characters off of me, Carson Long. Hello. I thought, I want a realistic character. Who do I know better than myself? But here's the problem. I like to consider myself a fairly level-headed, logical, reasonable person. My wife may disagree, but I wrote each character to approach situations and conflict with a level-headed, rational approach. And that is boring. It's boring, dude. It took a couple mistakes here to eventually figure out that the best part of writing characters is having them respond non-reasonably. What about their personality or their past or their beliefs can make them respond to a situation more emotionally? What can they not tolerate or overcome? And now when I write characters, I really try to find some part of each character that would make them respond irrationally to certain things. Someone backstabbed this character in the past. So a betrayal in the current day means that there is no forgiveness or conversation. You are dead to this character. Even if there was a reasonable, logical explanation, it doesn't matter. They've been burned in the past and they won't be burned again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't be fooled again.
Please clap.
Now, I love writing characters that have their boundaries tested and their lines crossed. It makes them feel like real people. I don't know, it fits the story too. It provides conflict between the characters that you love. If you have any tips on giving your characters depth, then please put them below. In all of our videos, the YouTube comments end up being a great place to learn about other methods of writing from fellow writers like yourself. If you want to be part of this community in a bigger way, use the Discord link below and come hang out. For more writing content, breaking down stories and characters and plot, then like this video and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching. Did that work?